special good morning to our listeners, those of you via Classic Radio 105.5, 105.9. Good Friday morning to you. It's the first day of December within the year 2023, the start of a brand new month. Let me say good morning to my viewers, those of you viewing via GBN TV, whether it's Channel 7, Channel 11, or Channels 20. Good morning. Let me say also to my social media audience, those of you viewing and listening, social media audience like those of you via the Facebook page, YouTube channel, GBN's webpage, gbn.gd. Good morning and welcome to this edition of To The Point. And with me this morning, of course, I do have a guest with me this morning, no other than Mr. Jude Bartholomew, who's the president of the GUT. Let's go over and say good morning to Mr. Bartholomew. Mr. Bartholomew, good morning and welcome, sir.
Yes, good morning to you, good morning to the GBN family, and good morning to the Grenadian society, throughout the diaspora, the region, and a special good morning to our teachers.
All right. And it's certainly timely to have you around this time of the year. It's the final month of the year, and I'm assuming there'll be lots to talk about in terms of course, from the union perspective, in terms of what's happening. And certainly our viewing and listening audience was certainly happy to hear what you have to offer this morning in terms of the various issues, if there's any to talk about, and so forth as we move forward this morning. Let's move into, of course. Any opening comment from you this morning before we continue?
Yes, just before we start, I always like to ask Almighty God to bless this program and to allow His Holy Spirit to take charge and to take total control. I want to take the opportunity to express season greetings to the Grenadian citizens, to our teachers, to the state of Grenada, Carriacou, and Pity Matnik. I pray that God will just bless this season, this Christmas season, and that God will bless our nation and carry us through, and wish all of us prosperity and productivity for the new year, upcoming new year 2024 and beyond. So I pray that God's blessing upon the nation and upon our workers, upon our teachers and everybody for this season and beyond.
All right, thank you so much for that. Let's get into the meat of our conversation this morning. I want to start it off. This has been a bit of a concern. Of course, it's been in the news a whole lot. In the recent fire in the St. Andrew Anglican Primary School, there has been, of course, a serious disruption of students, teachers, parents. What does the GUT have to say about the present, of course, arrangement? And have you visited the present location? What's your thoughts?
So before I go there also, I want to take the opportunity to express sympathy and condolences to the families of teachers, because for this year, 2023, we have had quite a number of teachers who have died, and it's a very sad moment for our teachers right now. We have a stalwart teacher, Joy Lombard from St. David's, who have given everything towards education and teaching fraternity and to the nation, to duty. And so sadly, she had lost her life earlier this week. So the teachers are in mourning, and especially St. David's branch. So it seems to be a trend, that is happening, that our teachers, we're losing them, one by one and such. And so our deepest sympathy and condolences to our teaching fraternity and to their families. And we pray that God will just strengthen them at this moment. So now we can move on to the St. Andrews Anglican Primary School matter issue. And St. Andrews Anglican situation is a long-standing one. Nevertheless, the school was built at Progress Park there. And even previously with the previous administration, the GUT have been clamoring for some assistance for the school, because the principal and teachers, members of staff, the community, they always have been complaining about theft of a number of things, vandalism, persons break open in the school, and that have been going on for a long period of time. So on record, we would have dealt with this issue, trying to give a clarion call to the previous administration long before this one, to see what they can do to alleviate some of the sufferings and problems for St. Andrews Anglican Primary School. Nevertheless, this year we had to give due attention, because I think I went on Facebook and others trying to bring that attention, because we were trying to bring it to the Ministry of Education, but we weren't getting through at this particular time, with the length of time that we were having meetings and engagement and everything. So I think we had to go on Facebook and bring up the pressure to the general public, where the government and the Ministry of Education, to their credit, at that particular time did intervene in the matter. So nevertheless, while they started to improve the physical conditions and such of the school for the break opening and everything, there came a fire. Whatever the cause of the fire and such, we don't know. But nevertheless, we know that you have 4 major buildings at St. Andrews Anglican Primary, and one building will got it down. Another building, a few got a little scratch, but those are things that just could be repaired quickly. The government of Grenada, the new administration, started improving the physical atmosphere of the school. With the talk about security, so the government did move with the Ministry of Education quickly, and we want to give them credit for that, for the security of the school, installing cameras and everything. Also, they had security guards, I think about 4 security officers. Their security guards trying to protect the school to improve. And a number of other things, the mechanisms they have started in terms of making sure that the principal office and everything else, computers and other things, the kitchen, the burglar proof, to secure the environment. But sadly, within that process of the Ministry of Education and government trying to do that, this present government, we noticed that there was a fire in the school, and it was really, really, truly sad, crushing, devastating for the school community, devastating for members of staff, for principal, and everybody else. And I think probably the government of Grenada, the Ministry of Education, because they started. So I just want to take the opportunity to give the government, this new administration, their praise where praise is deserved, and at the same time critique them. So to say this program this morning, we have a problem in one issue. When you praise an administration, another group of people get vexed. When you criticize and you critique, then you can't please one another. That is what we have in the now is a different dispensation in terms of that. We should support where support is necessary and critique and give praise and critique at the same times. And so one person is to join with me this morning, and let's have a good dialogue. The issue here is one major building was burnt, got it down in fire. And we cannot understand the teachers of the St. Andrews Anglican Primary. Why is it that the Ministry of Education and the government of Grenada is already taking so long to deal with that matter, so that school could have a level of normalcy? Well, we have a problem now. All the praise that we give the Ministry of Education and the new administration, there lies some criticism. And the previous Minister for Education did speak, and I would be in agreement with her in some of the things that she said. Nevertheless, I would say the responsibility rested on their shoulders when they were there before, and we were clamoring about St. Andrews Anglican Primary. They never really did to alleviate the problem and fix the problem. Nevertheless, we respected what she said. I think going up to the resource center, that's where the problem is. If you have 4 buildings there in Progress Park, one building got it. You have toilet facilities, you have everything there. You have a population in that school of about 300 and something students. You have teachers. You have to listen to the voice and consensus of the teachers. And most of the teachers are not in agreement, even the parents and other persons, to move to the resource center. The resource center in Telesford was not really designed for the influx of 300 and something students. And so I think that the Ministry of Education, that's where the little failure comes in the sense. We have not had extensive discussion with the Grenada Union of Teachers, the Ministry of Education, in dealing with that matter. Based on my observation, I think I want to give kudos to the CEO, Ms. Alana Robert. She was there after the time of the fire, the Minister for Education. The GUT never really criticized or critiqued in any negative way because of the fire. We were very sensitive to that. We supported the Ministry of Education by, giving them praise. They were there the weekend of the fire and everything, putting things and logistics in place and everything. So the GUT is on record, giving them praise. Where the GUT, and we must give the Ministry of Education, and probably by extension, the government of Grenada, some fires now. The length of time that they are taking to deal with this issue, we recommend, and it makes sense based on what the teachers are saying in Telescope, to build back just the one building there. Build it back. Where the school was, it may not be the best of environment for that school. But nevertheless, if the entire 4 buildings were burned down, gushed with fires, destroyed, then it would make sense moving somewhere else. But it doesn't take long. The resources of the state or the Ministry of Education just to fix back that particular building and let the children go back there, let the teachers be in a comfortable space. The design and makeup of the resource center does not lend itself for that. And if you're talking about an economic situation, it doesn't really make economic sense going and break down walls in the resource center when you could use use it at a community for community development. You can use it at summer, Christmas time to assist the children and people of the community with programs to help them as a community effort. But the resources you're spending there, even if you have in mind to build a new school as soon as possible, I don't know when it will happen, and that's what we will recommend, that government fast track that building for St. Andrew's Anglican Primary School. But at the present construct, it makes sense to build back just the one building there and change the few plyboards that have been gushed, one or two in the other buildings, and let the teachers and students settle there. So I think that issue is taking too long, and I'm calling from the duty perspective, the teachers as a common perspective consensus from Progress Park, that the one building that have been destroyed, that is not taking long. There are persons in the community resources, parents and everybody who really want to assist and to manpower on everything. And if the Ministry of Education get it right, that building should have been up already. Lastly and finally, I would want to say on that, you have to take into consideration the parents. And I've always said on this program, the greatest challenge to this government, this administration, they are trying, and they more or less they are young, but they started off and they are doing a wonderful job. But I've always been saying, there's always room for improvement, but the record is there to see. One of the greatest mistakes I'm saying is that the Ministry of Education and Education, you have to pay attention, and government have to pay attention there. Because what you're doing, you started off well, putting the cameras, putting security, doing everything. But at the same time now, you're doing yourself some damage with the delay that, the indecisiveness in terms of putting back that building there, restoring that building, and allowing, because you have 375 students, if you have 150 or 300 families against you in problems because you're not doing what they say. And I think the records and what you're hearing from the parents and from the teachers, they want the school to go back right there, that temporary building, build it back. Because if you don't do that, sometimes you have to listen to the parents, listen to the community. You don't want a situation where the parents agree with you, the students, teachers, everybody, the union. You don't want that to develop. Because if parents, you're talking about 300 and something families really and truly hurting and going to be in problems against the government, and that's not what you want. So I will encourage the government. They have tried, they have set up the cameras, they do what they had to do, they have security in the school, and they started off well. Don't allow just one little building that just gushing fire to create problems and put an entire community against you. It doesn't make political sense, and it doesn't make economic sense. The best thing to move expeditiously as quickly as possible and just build the building there, restore that one building, just do some corrective measures for any little ply or those things that have been done. Make sure you check the electricity and all those things to make sure that the school come back. And I want to think, but in January, the students should be and teachers should be able to settle down better and to go back right there in Progress Park. That is my take on the matter.
Okay, great. Thanks for that update. Let's piggyback off, just off the St. Andrew Anglican Middle School. What about the physical conditions of some of the other schools around? If you could share some details, some information on that.
All right, so what we're hearing in terms of St. Andrew's Christian Academy, we have been calling. I don't know, there are rumors about a turning ceremony for that school. If that is correct, then that is good news. But that school deserves urgent attention and such for the building of a new school. We're talking about St. Giles Anglican, because we know from St. Giles Anglican, members of staff and students, they have been moved to Munich, the RC school in Munich, and that's the temporary place. But we are concerned, yes, they are there, but there is an argument in principle by the Anglican Church, by members of staff, the principal and others, the community, that the government and the Ministry of Education will move quickly in terms of really actually to build a new structure at St. Giles Anglican. So we are looking and watching to see what is happening and how soon that will happen. Cadiz Government School, there was some problem there, and the Ministry of Education was supposed to move to construct a new building that was in board to put it in wall. We look forward for the construction of that, and we hope that will happen quickly, because it's really and truly creating some problems in terms of the productivity level, the comfort level for students, for teachers, and everybody like that. We also in the same situation with St. David's Catholic Secondary School. We know they're exercising patience for a long time, and so we're asking the Ministry of Education, Community Communication and Works, and all those persons, government, who are already responsible to try to see if they could fast track and to alleviate the suffering of the teachers, of the students, and the school community. Because in one sense, it's going to create problems, and the teachers are already trying well. The students in the environment, in those physical conditions that are not too well and not too proper for working. I mean, if the union really wanted, if the union cooperate with the government, the Ministry of Education, because one of the things is for a safe and a healthy environment to work. The workplace must be conducive, it must be healthy, must be safe. But if teachers are the duty decides, well, those environments are not healthy for learning and the safety for our members, and we decide to pull our members out, then that's going to create problems. So we would not do that. We would not do that. In spite of that, the teachers, they dig deep. Those teachers in those schools where there are problems, physical problems and other problems, the commitment and the sacrifices that those teachers make in spite of that to go the extra mile to teach the children and to do what they have to do to enable learning. I mean, it's commendable by the whole nation and the government, the Ministry of Education, and everybody should applaud that, because it's not easy when you're not working in a proper environment for learning that is conducive to learning and teaching. So we are calling on the Ministry of Education. We know that they're just coming. There are a lot of projects to be done, and some of those things take time. But we just want to urge them, to encourage them to fast track. There's a situation at current government. I think for the screens, they had broken screens for a long period of time. I'm not too sure if that problem have been fixed and remedied, but they have been crying out for a long time. So it's not easy. We know that the government have to dig deep, and we know that they're going to get it done. But we just want them to give due attention to some of the schools. At the same time, we want to take the opportunity to congratulate not only this government, but the previous administration, because some of the schools started under the previous administration. You're talking about now Montrose SDA. You're talking about Bishop's College and a number of schools. Years that have been completed. Montrose SDA completed under this administration, and they was out of that building for a long time. But I could say today that the teachers and the students of Montrose Comprehensive School SDA, they are very happy to be in that new environment now, and they're really settled down. So thanks to the Ministry of Education, to the government of Grenada, even to the previous administration for what they have been doing and trying in terms of the rehabilitation of schools and creating a better environment and such. But there's a lot of work to do, and we want the progress, we want it to continue, so that the teachers, the students, the whole learning environment in the transformation of education could be well done.
Mr. Bartholomew, let me ask you this other question. Now, at least, should I say earlier this year, and at least two occasions you lamented on the fact that the lack of communication between the duty and the minister and the ministry regarding various issues. Now, tell me, has this relationship improved in any way at all?
Well, it just started really and truly to get back on track, because I think that was one of the reasons why I had to go with the same St. Andrew's Anglican Primary to go on Facebook and such to really speak and to express certain things to the general public, because we really weren't getting through. We were calling for meetings with the Minister for Education and the Ministry of Education, and we really weren't getting there probably for a long period of time. But I could say that there is some level of improvement. I just want to take the opportunity also, as you say that, to say, I want to take that opportunity to congratulate the chief, the CEO, acting CEO, Ms. Alana Felix Roberts. I think for the time that she was there, that in spite, sometimes somebody just come in a job and you have your doubts, or you might search and you might query certain things, but I think she was settling down quite nicely in one sense. And I could say that the duty and teachers, based on the audience and everything like that, so the meetings that we have, and so she cooperated well to the best of our ability, and she was always trying to see what she could do, for the teachers and for the school, for the children, and all those things. So I think for the state that she have tried her best in our limitations, and I think so far that we are sort of pleased with what we are seeing with her. So I just want to take the opportunity, in spite that everything may not be well and such, we know there are room for improvement in the Ministry of Education. The teachers are complaining, sometimes principals are complaining, and we're going to get down to certain things later on in the show. But But one of the problems that we find we encounter with the Ministry of Education, we had that problem under the previous administration, and the previous Minister for Education really did try to address it. But when you call the Ministry of Education, you find that nobody answering the phone. And we see that thing creeping in again. Principals are complaining, they calling, nobody answering the phone. Teachers are calling and nobody answering the phone. And there are times when you might have a serious problem in a school, you get a complaint, and you want to try to see how you could trash it out as quickly as possible. There is an emergency situation and you're calling. Sometimes you might get you, but I think there is room for improvement in the Ministry of Education. We don't want to go back to that situation where you're calling and nobody answering the phone. So we're asking the Ministry of Education to really do what they have to do. We know that they are doing some repairs there, and probably that could be the reason, or we're not too sure. But we want that communication to be there so that we can really try to deal with issues and such. But I could put on record there that teachers and principals, they have been complaining for a while that you're calling. The situation really and truly improved under the previous administration, and then we see now there is a kind of lapse. It started and there is a kind of lapse now. You're calling and you're not getting through. We don't want that. So we want the Ministry of Education, the government of Grenada, to pay attention in the various ministries and the Ministry of Education that if you have persons as receptionists and other persons to really answer the phone, to really deal with situations and to pass on message, to deal with things effectively and efficiently, we want to make sure that it get done. So we're calling on the record so that thing improves.
So before we due for a break, let's take it. Be coming right back, folks. Stay with us here. On to the point. We'll be right back.
Like family, it's always exciting when lottery players get together. Now the lottery games are joining in the fun. Check out the multiplier family of Instacash games. 5 times the cash at $2, 10 times the cash at $3, and 20 times the cash at $5. On your tickets, match any of our numbers with any of the winning numbers and win the prize below that number. There's more. Multiply your winnings up to 5 times, 10 times, or 20 times more. Winning is easy. Play Monday to Sunday. There are no draws to wait on. Win instantly. It's the multiplier family of Instacash games with over $675,000 to be won instantly. Don't just buy one, buy all, because family is everything. Must be 18 years and older to play. NLA, making family dreams come true.
Hello everyone, here is an invitation to join me this and every Sunday until December 17th on GBN Television and K105 FM from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. for Yuletide Sundays. Great music, gifts, and all the wonderful things of Christmas. Yuletide Sundays comes to you compliments Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices, Grenville Credit Union, Gittins Healthcare, and Clear Vision Eye Center.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, to the point for today, Friday, the 1st of December, 2023. With me this morning, we have the president of the GUT, that's Mr. Jude Bartholomew, and we're talking various issues this morning. Mr. Of course, Bartholomew, welcome back. I want to get into our next segment of the conversation this morning, the TAMCC issue. Let's speak a wee bit about that. And we're talking, the free tuition of students. Give us some more information about that. There's been, of course, other issues that are bearing. Let us hear a wee bit about that this morning.
All right, so the TAMCC issue, as we know that our premier tertiary institution in Grenada is the T. Marichaud Community College, and we really want to thank the government of Grenada, this new administration, you can see with the direction they are going. So this morning is to give praise and to balance. We criticize where criticism is necessary, and we give praise where praise is necessary. And that's what we want the nation to realize. So the government has really and truly been using taxpayers' money, as we say, for education in the whole transformation process, and which is good, because what you're saying, we really want to put on record our deepest appreciation for the government, this new Honorable Deacon Mitchell administration, for the free tuition for students at TAMCC, which is good. What we want the nation to see and what we want parents to see is that this government, even if the direction the government is moving, they may not be putting $100 in your hand directly, but what they are putting, they are to put in thousands of dollars in educating and investing in the nation's children for education transformation. So this is a process. If one analyzes well, you can see what the government is doing is just really and truly not just giving you a fish, but teaching you how to fish, to take out the nation's children and our community, our families out of poverty. And we must applaud the government for that. And these are certain things sometimes that people cannot see. And the weakness of this administration, I don't know, they're not explaining these things properly for the common people to understand the direction where they're going. So we give them praise for that. Where we criticize them now, the monies for this year have not been paid as yet for that free tuition to TAMCC. And that's your premier institution. No, TAMCC has to run. All right, you can't run on water. And even if you run on water, you have to pay for it. Even if it's gas, you have to pay for it. Everything you have to do, you have to pay for it. So I think the weakness, we will give the government some criticism, the Ministry of Education, the length of time that they are taking to pay TAMCC the monies for this year for the free tuition for the college. Because if they don't have the resources, they would not be able to do anything, and they are at a standstill. So these are things that the Ministry of Education, the government of Grenada, TAMCC should have put in place and everything. So at the get-go for the opening of September, the resources should have been going to TAMCC. And even if there was a delay into the funding or tuition of the students at TAMCC, probably the Ministry of Education or government should have had some contingency funding for TAMCC so that they could have the resources that they need to do to keep the school running. So that's what we're saying. No, I am not saying there could be a little delay probably from TAMCC, but both sides probably should get some blame in terms of the necessary data and the logistics in place and the names to ensure, to check all the balances, checks and balances to make sure that you're not paying unnecessary monies. I think that's what the government wants to do in transparency and everything, to make sure that every cent is accounted for. Now, I cannot blame the government for that. That is a good thing. So you know how you're spending the nation's resources, the monies and everything, taxpayers' money. So we applaud them for that. What we are seeing some weakness is that those monies have not been given to TAMCC yet, and it's causing unnecessary delay. And so, but I just want to put on record from the Grenada Union of Teachers and from us here that we applaud the government, because we see what they are doing in the whole transformation process in terms of assisting. Now, parents have to realize, and the wider Grenada community, that when the government does that for your student, they are investing in education and investing, even if they are paying it for the students, parents, they are paying it for your children, but they are paying it to you indirectly. So they're investing in your children, they are investing in you. And so we must see those things and to appreciate it. But what we see, there is a weakness there in terms of the delay in payment, and we want the government, the Ministry of Education, TAMCC to step up in this matter so that the resources can be pumped in. Because even if TAMCC is a statutory body, that's the weakness. Sometimes we ask the question, does it really make sense for TAMCC to be a statutory body? Because TAMCC doesn't have the level of independence to generate the revenues and the funding and such to really do what it's supposed to do. It is heavily dependent on government and such. So the other thing there is that the government of Grenada, the Ministry of Education, TAMCC have to look for other ways to generate income, to generate support for TAMCC. What about your alumni? What about your past students all these thousands of people who are overseas who went to TAMCC for years upon years, the whole community. So we're not really, making use of the niche of the persons who have already used the facilities, go to TAMCC, their premier education, and will be very proud in one way or the other to assist TAMCC. Universities and colleges away, where persons you're touring with colleges and you're touring with other universities so that they could lend funding to TAMCC. So TAMCC as a statutory body could more become an independent premier organization. But what you depend on now is that your mother always have to hand you something and give you, and the government, although it's a statutory body, but the government still have to really pump in all the resources into TAMCC because TAMCC doesn't have really other ways of generating funds and all those things. And these are the limitations. If you want to take education forward as your premier tertiary education, we have to dig deep. That is the transformation of education in Grenada. The transformation of education in Grenada is not just the resources that you pump. It's thinking further, thinking wider, looking at the collaborative effort, not only in Grenada, but throughout the region, throughout the world, and see how we could bridge that gap and find resources and do all the different things that we have to do to make sure it functions properly. Quickly, I will move on to that and move away from that. We have another problem here with TAMCC with workers, especially the lecturers. So we have two groups of workers in TAMCC. Public workers under the PW, and then you have lecturers under the Grenada Union of Teachers. And for years, this is about, and I don't think the Ministry of Education and the government of Grenada understands or probably knows really and truly what is really happening in that sense. There was a collective bargaining framework, isn't about 10, 12 years ago, a framework that is there for the ministry, for the GUT and Council of TAMCC, the principal and everybody, to discuss, to negotiate and to sign, to come to a proper collective bargaining arrangement and agreement for TAMCC, so that TAMCC together with GUT doesn't have to negotiate whenever the GUT has salary negotiations or contractual negotiations for a new period. It's not necessary that it has to negotiate for TAMCC at the same time. It's not necessary that TAMCC has to get whatever that negotiation and we sign for it. But for this contractual period, whatever the GUT sign, and it is there, that is an agreement for 2023 to 2025 that has been signed and sealed by the government of Grenada and the Grenada Union of Teachers. And it encompasses not only teachers or workers from the primary and secondary school, but also for the lecturers at TAMCC. And it seems that we're having some problems here because when we have engagement with the Minister of Education, sometimes he cannot see eye to eye how TAMCC could be getting more money and the lecturers could be getting the increases and everything. What he doesn't understand is that this new collective bargaining framework encompasses and includes the lecturers at TAMCC, so they must receive their salary increases and everything. And until Council, TAMCC Council, and TAMCC itself have a collective bargaining agreement that is signed separately from what we do from our primary and secondary schools, so that we could negotiate independently for TAMCC with our lecturers. And that's what is happening here. So far the lecturers at TAMCC did not receive their 4% increase for 2023, and we're coming close to 2024 now, when they should be receiving another 4% in January, just as our primary and secondary teachers. And that is the delay there. And it seems so we are calling upon the Honorable Glen Mitchell administration to see really and truly what is happening there. Until we have an independent collective bargaining arrangement for TAMCC, for lecturers and everybody, which the union have been calling for years upon years, the framework is there. It's just the unwillingness of council, and not this present council, but past councils and other persons from TAMCC, their unwillingness really actually to negotiate and to really seal the deal and to sign an agreement. That is what, unless that doesn't happen, what would the lecturers would fall back on is the arrangement and contractual arrangement that was there before, and the union the legitimate right to negotiate with government for their salary increases. And so we call in, and we hope that the government make provisions for the increase for TAMCC for 2023, 2024 in the 2024 budget, because they have some retroactive payments to make for 2023. And that is what we are. That is where we are. Then we have a retired savings plan. It's like a pension, not a full pension, because in TAMCC, once you under the TAMCC arrangement and not under the public service, you don't get pension there. So those things we want to make sure that the retirement savings plan with a financial institution is in proper order, so that the lecturers, the workers at TAMCC will have the confidence in what they are going to, because it's people's money, the lecturers' money is the TAMCC put in a match fund of 5%, and until they don't have the confidence that those things are done right, then you would not get everybody involved. So it's incumbent upon TAMCC, upon council, upon the college, upon everybody to pay attention to this and to make sure that this retirement savings plan is in proper order. All checks and balances are in place, so that they could give the workers the confidence to join it, so that they know when they put their monies and they put government resources in it, it is there and it is proper order. Those are some of the problems that we are experiencing in TAMCC at the moment, and we're calling on the Ministry of Education, Council, we're calling everybody to lend the support to really alleviate that problem and to look to see how we can generate better income and more income for TAMCC, not only in Grenada, but throughout the diaspora, throughout the world, so that this college could be the one that we are proud of in the transformation for education.
Mr. Bartholomew, let me also ask you, how has regularization been proceeding? Over the years, there have been major issues for the union. Under the last administration, they were hearing figures of a couple hundred teachers regularized. What could we say has been obtained in the present administration now in terms of regularization?
Well, the government, this new government under the Honorable Deacon Mitchell, is on the move for regularization, not only for teachers, but the entire public service. And we really want to commend them for that again. It is not easy. Sometimes you hear the nation talk and you hear people talk and everything, and people will talk. But at the same time, we had the previous administration, yes, they regularized a few teachers and everything, and we want to give them praise for that. But we had the imanis and we had other public service we had the nurses, we had doctors, we had other persons who have been crying out to be regularized, to regularize the status, permanent status, so that they could improve their lives and everything for years upon years. And that did not happen. So regularization, yes, we want the best of it, but the government, this new government, have been trying. It will take some time. There are going to be criticisms, there are going to be certain delays here, but we want to put on record our deepest appreciation, because Cabinet has approved the regularization of 111 teachers. When we give some failure, remember this regularization of these teachers under the previous administration have been putting off for a long time. Years upon years, we're crying out for even the 106 or 111 teachers to regularize, and we don't know what crime that the teachers have done. You may say probably the other public servants, but what crime that the teachers have done for all these years in the delay in regularization? The previous administration and the previous minister, they were just putting it up from 1 month to the next. 1 year, you say 6 months, 1 year and such. And it was just going on for years upon years. This administration, they come in, they don't even have 2 years yet. And they come in now to fix this problem, long-standing problem, for a long period of time. And so we want to give them kudos. What we are saying is that we're not saying that everything will be done the same time. We're not saying that we're going to be happy with everything at the same time. But this administration have been trying, and have been trying well. We are calling upon the Ministry of Education and the Deacon Mitchell, Honorable Deacon Mitchell administration. There are about 400 teachers still waiting to be regularized. And so that number of 111 is not enough, because we know you're moving with phases. All right, you're dealing with public servants, you're dealing with teachers, then you're dealing with imanis, you're dealing with other workers, agricultural workers, and a number of different things, and we are plugged. But 111 teachers, so we are calling on the Ministry of Education, we are calling on the government of Grenada. Yes, while we want to move to regularize and to deal with the nurses and doctors and everybody who are in a temporary squatting situation, and we want you to deal with that, but we also put in on record that 111 teachers, that's not all the teachers to be regularized, and those teachers have been there for a long period of time. They're frustrated, and even now they are frustrated, and I want to make a very important point here. We cannot understand, and the teachers cannot understand, From since the government of Grenada cabinet have approved the regularization of 111 teachers. We go now from since October to December. What is the delay? I stand to be corrected here. We're not too sure if there are public servants who receive their letters of appointment and everything as yet for regularization, and we applaud that if that is happening. What is the delay? What are the teachers paying for in the Ministry of Education? Now, government has approved it. If gone through DPA already in the Ministry of Education, I hope by now, because we have been calling all the time and teachers are frustrated. You're hearing that the government of Grenada already and truly approved the regularization of 111 teachers. We have had an engagement with the teachers. We let them know that. But they're calling all the time because what is the unnecessary delay? Give the teacher, let this thing go through because government has approved it already. And I just want to say here, I have learned, and I just saying something I would not call name, but somebody from, high working with whether previous administration or this administration did say that many times, sometimes we blame the politicians for delay and we blame them for things. And sometimes not them. The problem is not really them. Sometimes the problem is in the public service itself. And somebody did say the greatest enemy of workers is not necessarily the government, but higher up the public service or whoever the persons, the implementers of the policies when government give directives. They delaying and dilly-daddling and taking unnecessary delay. By now, this first batch of teachers or whether public officers and everybody, once government approve and give the okay, should be regularized already, and you should be moving with speed now to do another batch. So many times, sometimes the government, the cabinet, the administration, whether past or present, will be criticized and get the blame, and sometimes they give the instructions, and you find that the very people who are supposed to implement it and put it in place, they're just wasting time and diddle-daddling when that could have been done already. So that is the situation that we are here. We are thankful for the regularization. We do hope, as we suggested, that we hear the rumor that public servants and teachers, everybody would not be adequately compensated, basically retroactively, for regularization. I mean, it's sad in the sense the duty always push and calls for the proper compensation of its members. Nevertheless, we understand the situation is give and take. We did recommend to DPA and to the government of Grenada that even if you don't have the financial resources to pay the teachers at one time, that there are various ways to basically taxes and other things that you can do to a relief of taxes. The teachers are buying land, you give them some concession and such on the taxes and a number of different things. They're building homes, then you calculate the amount of monies that the teacher has to get or the public officer, and then you can give them some reprieve on that. So there are a number of ways and a number of things that you can do, even if, because we know, yes, it might be hard pressed for the government. They're trying to regularize not only teachers, they're trying to regularize or see what they can do for e-monies, all those workers that have been disappointed for years upon years and such. But nevertheless, justice must be done, social and economic justice. And what we've seen here for our workers, for our teachers and our workers, we are seeing that the evidence is very true, that the very said government, and we're not only talking about this administration, but previous administration, already and truly, they are helping our workers and teachers to be in poverty and to be in deep poverty. Because if you already go back to it, you've seen after 2 years of work, a teacher should be made permanent. Once there is a permanent space and everything. You may not see it in the labor code, but if you go to the SRO 1969 or the statutory rules and order, and sometimes referred to as the public service regulations, then you will see that it is there, it is in law. Your probationary period for a teacher or worker is 2 years. And so once there is a space in your school and you meet the necessary requirements, the basic requirements, and your principal and others recommend you to be regularized, then it should be done. Unfortunately, what you are seeing in a situation there, and this government is continuum. This government now is trying to remedy the situation, and then all the blame might come upon them. Whether or not they deserve it is one thing that we can debate. All the blame will come upon them for something that they are trying to fix. But it should not be excused because that the teachers and workers should not be compensated because there is a lot of money to pay. We could look at other ways to pay. Nevertheless, we understand the situation, sometimes the balance that you have to give and take if you want the teachers and public officers and everybody to be regularized, because some persons might say, where would government get all the resources for, and they are really trying to do it. At the contrary, one can look at from since how many years ago, the previous administration, they were there for years upon years. Now everybody coming on, they're talking about the Imanis. The government of Grenada, you're hearing now that they would, in June this budget, they're going to raise their salary by 500. Other persons through the seed program or whatever, they're going to increase it by 200. And so we want them to do that. But where were the other administration, where all these thousands of Imanis and workers were there for all these years and nobody really regularized them to improve their lots? So persons can talk when they're on the outside and the outside of office, but this government will say they are trying. But I just want to link this regularization and to see the problem that we are having with the NIS. And you see how the teachers are always at a disadvantage and public servants. Now look at the NIS situation. If all these workers were regularized or were in a better position, better paid, it means that the NIS would have been able to collect more resources. We would not have been in that situation where we are today. There are a lot of persons who are evading payment and not paying the NIS. And who has to pay for that? The workers of Grenada. Those persons who, teachers and public officers. And later on, we'll talk about some of the concerns that we have with the NIS in terms of the pension payment at 65 and basically the movement of the retirement working age for government. And we'll see how that will create a problem for teachers and probably public officers.
Mr. Bartholomew, maybe we should get into the NIS, of course, problems that you speak of, because we're a bit strapped for time. I know you have a lot to say, but sometimes we are a bit strapped for time. There's only approximately 12 minutes or so left on today's program. You know, we're here for an hour. Now, the problem you're having with NIS, the NIS pension, and the problem it poses for teachers. Explain that a wee bit for us this morning. And if you could keep it short, we'll be able to appreciate it.
Right.
Let's just get to the point with it.
So the problem is that based on the actual report for the NIS, the NIS seems to be in some problems for a long period of time. And if they don't make the necessary adjustment and such for pension arrangement and such, they're going to be in deep trouble. And who is going to be in deep waters is not necessarily the NIS building, but the persons who they're trying to insure, the very people, the very workers. And that's the reason why the workers now, in terms of what the NIS has to do to improve for that security for workers, to make sure that when you retire now, you're entitled and your old age benefit or pension is there. And so as bitter as it is, bitter pill to swallow, we may have to accept it. But I'm just saying, going back again, these are political decisions and all those things are coming to haunt the workers. Just as this contractual arrangement that was there for a long time, which wasn't supposed to do, keep back the workers, and so they weren't able to make no progress in life, keeping them in poverty. Look at when, even if he's trying to address now, you've seen once they escape one, they are going to the other. So the problem we've seen with the NS, this 65 years for workers, if you have to wait from 2024, as long as we're hearing that person's pension or old age pension and benefit from the NS is at age 65. If you go at 61, basically for this year is the last 2023, 61, if you take your pension, you're having a 5% penalty. At age 62, if you go at that time, 2025, 10% penalty. 63, 15% penalty if you calculate that to 64 and 65. So you telling me after our workers make the 500 contribution, you do what you're supposed to do for all this period of time, not our fault and not the workers' fault. These are the delay of politicians by not doing what they were supposed to do. Political decisions. If they were listening to the NS for all these years and make the necessary adjustments and all those things, we would not have come back to put all that pressure upon the workers, and that's what we're saying here. So we're saying for a teacher, take for example a teacher. We know from the time you reach 50 years, you start to get tired on the job. Your productivity level in the school start to drop. So 60 years is a struggle. How can a teacher, look at it, how can a teacher remain teaching in a workplace? Teaching is the stressful situation is a demanding job. How are you going to be there in a classroom for age 65? You're almost getting old already to be in a classroom. And that's what the nation, the government, the NS have to probably go back on the drawing board and to look, because it's unfair and is unfair, an unfair situation and an unfortunate situation if we know the circumstances dictate it. So we're asking the government to look at it again. It's very difficult for teachers with this strenuous job. It's not like in Europe and such where teachers get 2 years off the job, so you could relax or you get a year off. You almost have to go with 3 months sabbatical leave. Not everybody that gets it. So your brain and the demand of the job. And that is the reason why the Constitution and the laws of Grenada, so wisely the people before, all forefathers, they were smart and wise. Look at the age in which teachers were able to get pension. At age 50 and age 55 with government pension. And they so designed it even different to the rest of the public service because they knew that teaching is a really demanding job and you're exhausted, your brain tired and all those things stressful. You can't go up to this kind of age. And so when you have to wait, if you're retired at 60, why are you waiting? Are you retired at 65? And you want to wait until 65 to get your NS old age benefit. In one way or the other, you still come back and put the worker in poverty now. Because you depend on the little pension you're getting from government may not be enough. Is when you calculate NS and you calculate your government pension, that is when you're going to match up. So it's an unfortunate situation, and we're asking government also to look at that. We're asking the NS also and government to pass the necessary laws and put structures in place. The private people, the employers, are they paying the NS? When they have workers, are they paying for them? In too many places you're hearing, in some more places, private construction and all the different things, where the employer, they take all the workers' money and they never account for it. That is against the law. So if you strengthen all those things and you regularize the workers, the public servants, when you're supposed to do that quite early and not putting them on contract, and you grow the economy and those things where more persons could get jobs, then the NS will be in a better position because they will be getting more money from the workers. But when you have the workers temporary for all these years upon years, it means that you're robbing the NS, government robbing the NS for themselves, and then the workers have to pay for it. And that is what we see here today.
Mr. Bartholomew, let me also ask you another question, because, as I mentioned, we do strap for time. And let's see, what are some of the key issues you see the Jude going into 2020, 2024 and beyond? What are some of the key issues you see going forward?
Well, some of the key issues we see going forward, what the government did talk about pension reform with regularization. We don't really probably expect that for the teachers based on the job and the act and the law. We know that every teacher that the basically pension restoration is for the public servants and teachers. So we don't know what would happen, but we're watching closely to what the government called for pension reform. We're looking at that very, very closely, and we did call for dialogue between the stakeholders and between government. So we see that is something we want to make sure that our teachers and our members are secure, the public servants are secure and everything like that. So we're looking at also the economy going forward. We're looking at the budget and see what the budget will bring for 2024. That, a balanced budget. We want a budget that will spur economic growth and everything like that. So to see the initiative that is coming for education and the education transformation, we're looking for this budget to see if you're talking about transformation in education. And we're saying to the Ministry of Education, we're watching something that is happening. Transformation in education is not bringing down all the workers, all teachers who have a degree and everybody. You're bringing them down to the Ministry of Education. We think that is a mistake, and we've seen a trend that has been happening since the previous administration. We see the same thing happening now. You have to leave some of the persons who go and study and everything. Make sure that they're in school so that you balance the equation. So when the Ministry of Education come up with the policies and the plans, you have trained and experienced persons to so guide even in the school. But it appears that everybody, once they have a degree, they're running down to the Ministry of Education. Transformation for this budget in education, we must see linkages with all the various ministries. We must see education growth in agriculture. We must see agriculture storing so that the economy could boost. We must see in education the skills and services, industries to pull up. We must see all the different skills and such that the government must look and go back education to see what are the skills areas that are needed for Grenada, needed for our country to help develop our country. We must be able to move away if you want transformation in education and hope that the government, the budget will take care of that. is to not only from our extractive or primary industry, but we must educate our people so that we can utilize our resources, the mangoes, the spices, and all those things. We buying cocoa, we buying Ovaltine, we buying all sorts of different things from other places. When we have all those things there, we have the fruits that we're not utilizing. You look at Barbados, they don't have a river, they don't have that, but they're good in agriculture, they're exporting. Why can't we move from primary extraction to secondary? And all those things will boost our economy. But we have to have linkage across the various sectors, well planned and organized, and education must take the link so that we develop our country and our country's resources.
All right, Mr. Buffett, let me give you something that is, of course, that is a bit current in terms of a question I would like to ask. Now, what's the latest you've been hearing, of course, from teachers, regarding the teaching of the LGBTQ issues in school? There's an issue that you spoke about recently in the past, concern raised by teachers. I also asked this question specifically. We've been hearing about the Samora Agreement and the call for the calling for such thing to be included in school curriculum. What could you say in relation to that?
Well, I have not heard about this one. I have not really and truly heard about this one. And if I heard about it, then I'll come out and speak. But I have not heard about it. I've been quite busy these days dealing with so many different matters, education, school, whatever, and a number of different things union-wise. But I did not pay attention to that and hear about that. So before I speak on this matter, I would have to, make sure that I gather the information, get it right, and everything. And once I'm properly and adequately briefed about this particular matter, then I will speak on it. So that's the question. Even if we differ now, you can still ask me that at another time. But I don't want to speak on a matter that I don't have the facts and nothing. But at the other hand, at the contrary, the record is there that I did speak on that issue before, and persons know where I stand and where we stand and that matter. But for this one that you're putting there, I need to get the facts and get the information straight and get it right before we could come up and speak.
All right. Of course, and that's fair enough. Now, there's also an issue that's been going around in terms of salary slips issue. Tell us a wee bit about that.
In terms of
the salary slips issues, the non-issuance of workers' salary slips and so
yes.
forth. Let's hear about that.
So I'll move quickly with that. This thing have been plaguing teachers and workers. I believe that the ministries, the various ministries, the government want to go paperless and everything. So they more or less stop issuing the salary slips, and basically it's against the law in one sense. It doesn't matter whether you're sending it through email or you're doing what if you want to change it. But workers, teachers have not been getting the salary slips for over a year now, quite a number of time, and it's a bitter gripe and becoming a grievance for our members that you're working. Workers got their increases, they weren't able to see, and they cannot see whether or not do the calculations to see the increase that they get, if it is correct or incorrect, and you cannot see. This salary slip is very, very important. When you get paid, you must get your salary slip, and persons want it for more than that. You want to do business transaction, you want to go buy coats, you want to go buy robots, you want to go in some other hardware or some other place, you want for whatever transaction, financial and otherwise, you must have your salary slip. So we raised that issue many times with the Ministry of Education. Is becoming a plague and a sour grape for teachers. A salary slip before you used to come in the various revenue officer go in the schools. No, you're not getting that. They talk about emails and everything and such, and teachers are complaining. They send their email for how long to the Ministry of Education or whatever, and they're getting paid all the time fortnightly and whatever, and they're not getting the salary slip and they're not happy with that. So we're asking the government of Grenada, we're asking the Ministry of Education to correct this thing rapidly and quickly as possible, because it's becoming a sort of disgusting and grievance matter and sour grapes for our members, and I don't know for other public officers. So we need that to be addressed.
Let's speak briefly on the upgrades of teachers, especially those who have obtained, the bachelor's and master degrees. Let's speak briefly on that, because we drew for time. I am asking for extra 2 minutes or so before we wrap. It's already at least 2 minutes to go before 10 o'clock, and we should be wrapping at 10. So tell us a wee bit about the upgrade of teachers, those who have obtained their bachelor's and so forth.
Yes. So very, very slowly, the government, the Ministry of Education have been making improvement in that, in terms of upgrading our members, persons with bachelor's, persons from TAMCC. But we still, and we want to applaud the Ministry of Education and the government for that. We have been experiencing some problems with persons with their masters. Now, you do your masters, as we say, you send persons to persons, whether they invest on their own and took the risk to go and study, because that's what government asked for before. and now they're coming back. And then the government, the Ministry of Education, they're not honoring an agreement that we had with the Ministry of Education, the government of Grenada, and basically the Grenada Union of Teachers. Government agrees to pay an incentive allowance to officers who obtain additional certificates, provided that they are in areas, courses which are successfully completed effective January 1992. So this is what you call an incentive allowance, and that agreement was signed by the Grenada Union of Teachers and the government in a collective bargaining agreement. It is there. And so the grade of the teachers at any grade who have obtained additional qualification that is acknowledged and recognized by university or Ministry of Education, but does not allow them to be promoted to a higher grade, shall be granted a sum equivalent to at least one increment. And so the persons with a master's, it doesn't have anything to do with the priority list and such. It doesn't have anything. The priority list that the Ministry of Education have is really related to study. But when you do your studies and such, and you get your certificate, you pass and stuff, then there is no restriction on the teacher or the government or PSC, the Ministry of Education, DPA, as to the compensation for the teacher when they do their masters and their bachelors, and you can do it in any area. So it's a way of restricting the teacher and such, and the teacher has been punished, and that's what we've seen there. So we're calling on the Honorable Deacon Mitchell administration, the Minister for Education, to move quickly, the CEO, the Chief Education Officer, and other persons involved in that DPA to correct this wrong. For too long, since 2017, 2015, 2019, teachers have been sending in their certificates and such. They do their masters, they're improving in terms of our education, and that's what you want. And you're not even upgrading them. They're not even getting a letter stating that they are upgraded, and they're not getting the $255 as an allowance. And that is wrong, because it is in Grenada here a collective bargaining agreement that is enshrined, and we're calling on the Ministry of Education to correct that.
Quickly, Mr. Bartholomew, also the issue of the hiring of auxiliary staff in school, like the cooks and security guards, etc. Of course, tell us some of the concerns that the duty is having in relation to that.
Yes, the Grenada Union of Teachers have some concerns here. I've been getting calls from St. Peter's RC School. You're hearing about the Anglican Primary School in St. John's. You're hearing about a lot of other schools where principals, more or less, they hand tied, and we think is an unfortunate situation. Now, that situation occurred under the previous administration, where they were just sending a worker in school. They just send from anywhere. They send, you see, a cook comes. You don't know from where, but the Ministry of Education and whoever under the previous administration send a cook, send a cleaner. The principal had no say in whoever comes. But the school is in a community and such, and what is saying, the principals and teachers must have a say and should have a say. We're not saying that they should have all the say, but they should have some say in terms of who the cooks, because they want to give persons in your community the opportunity to do so. What we've seen is that something that was done under the previous administration, where persons used to criticize it and say that is wrong, you still see it is happening now under the Ministry of Education, under this previous administration. We're saying wrong is wrong in the sense. We're not saying that person shouldn't be employed, and principals are very bitter about that sour grapes there. In some cases, they are challenging the Ministry of Education, because the Ministry of Education gave some of the schools the latitude to interview certain persons to get a job. And when you interview them now to get a job, you call in and say to them, they have to get rid of the person and get rid of Tom or get rid of Harry. They send in their own persons to work there. And I think those things are posing a problem. So right is wrong, right, and wrong is wrong. So we're asking the ministry or whoever, I don't know if that is a political decision from the political directorate, but we're asking them to correct that and to give some latitude and some say to principals and teachers in school, so that they could have some say, because they know the person best. And it doesn't look good. If it was wrong under the previous administration, then it is wrong also now. And that is what we're trying to say. Very quickly here, I just want to say that it is Christmas time, a special time. We understand the situation where teachers and other public officers are getting paid almost on a fortnightly basis. Most of the times when persons getting paid like that, which is something good because money is coming in your hand at a faster rate. But we are at the Christmas time when if somebody, you have your mortgage, you have your different things, and sometimes you're getting, let's say, $400, $500, $600 for a fortnight for the Christmas, and then you order $500 in at the end of the month. It means that persons would not have the necessary financial resources for a good Christmas. So we don't know what the government or the Ministry of Education will take into consideration for this time around, if they will pay workers, teachers, the entire monthly salary only for Christmas. I guess they're in discussion. But we also calling the best way and the best Christmas gift that you can give to our workers, that you can give to teachers, you can give to workers and other public officers is to give us an extra month salary for the Christmas. This is Christmas time. The money will go back to the economy and everything. If you pay half month now, this month before Christmas, that's all that the workers will spend. And if they get the other half after Christmas for the fortnight, it doesn't make sense economically. Yes, you want them to save, but you also want the economy to be boosted at Christmas time. So we ask the government to dig really deeply and let your generosity prevail for the teachers, for public officers, for everybody, the normal working man, the working class people of Grenada, Carriacou, Petit Martinique. Do what you have to do to make sure that everyone have a safe and a rich Christmas. Quickly, very quickly, we want to put on record our deepest appreciation to the government of Grenada, because the public sometimes doesn't know that in our last collective bargaining agreement with the government of Grenada, the fringe benefit package, and that's what we do as Grenada Union of Teachers. When we negotiate, we do it in a proper way. We don't make joke in terms of our negotiations. We have a team of negotiators who do a wonderful job. We plan what we have to do, and so we get results. And so for the first time in Grenada, throughout the region, countries have been calling for that, and they were having a difficult time. With this administration, we want to give them some praise for what they have done in terms of our temporary teachers, for everybody, compensation for the marking of CPA, CPA $12 EC. That's for the first time. You're talking about CSLC, the Form 3 exams, $15 easy for the marking of a paper, a project. You're talking about school-based assessment for CXC. CXC didn't want to honor that. $15 for a project. SBA. You're talking about CVQ, and we want the skills, we want everything. This new administration, $25 in terms of for whoever didn't for those projects. These are the sort of fringe benefits. Even if we learned in the negotiation that the Ministry of Education, when government tried to give it, the Ministry of Education, some persons in the Ministry of Education, they kick against it and say it shouldn't happen. But the teachers stood strong and said, we see merit in it. And so we want to applaud the government of Grenada, this new Honorable Deacon Mitchell administration, for those sort of fringe benefits and incentive packages for our teachers to make sure that as we transform education, that justice, social and financial justice really takes place for the teacher who have been going the extra mile night and day to make sure that the students do well in the secondary and primary school education. Finally, I just want to say, you're talking about fringe benefits and the Grenada Union of Teachers. The nation must know and applaud the government of Grenada. This administration, for the first time in negotiations, nobody wanted to be a principal. Nobody. At first, the salary was low. The government of Grenada, under the Honorable Deacon Mitchell administration, recognized that. And for the first time in our salary negotiations, primary and secondary school principals have been will move from January 2024 to a new grade. So the salary would improve to a new grade. So we appreciate that, and that is independent of the 4% that they had to receive. So we're calling upon teachers, we're calling upon principals, we're calling upon schools, we're calling upon the nation, that this administration have been really trying their best to see what they can do for workers. And you can see it. Certain things the nation may not see, because some things is concrete. People like to see things concrete so that they can see, they can visualize. Certain things, if you look at what the government is doing, is really trying to build that base and so to set the foundation for growth and harmony. So
I think we may have lost Mr. Bartholomew there for a wee bit, so a bit of a connection issue there for a wee bit. And of course, apology for that, but this is we may have lost you a wee bit there, Mr. Bartholomew. For some reason, there could be a connection issue. We may have to come to a close. It's already 10 minutes after the hour this morning, of course, and I want to thank you so much for the opportunity being here this morning. I know you had loads to talk about. Of course, we could have done with 2 hours of this program. I had to take an extra 10 minutes. So I want to thank you so much for being on the program this morning. Any closing comments before we wrap? Briefly, please, sir.
So again, I just want to put on record our deepest appreciation to the government of Grenada for what they have been doing for teachers. We want them to continue continue the regularization process to do all the different things. We thank them for the principals who would have to go to a new grade in January of 2024. Really improvement for our principals to attract principals and such. And those principals temporary who have been there sacrificing, they should get the benefit. And that is something that we're watching. We thank everybody. We thank the entire nation. We look forward to see what the budget will bring for us, for our nation, for development and growth for 2024. And I take the opportunity to thank all teachers for what they have been doing, the wonderful job towards teaching the nation's children and the sacrifices that they're making. And wish the whole nation prosperity, God's blessing and goodwill for 2024 and beyond. May God continue to bless Grenada, Carriacou, and Petimat.
Once again, Mr. Bartholomew, thank you so much for being on the program this morning. Have a blessed day yourself and a great weekend to come. All the best, sir. Hey, folks, that's where we take a wrap for today's program. To the point, a bit of an extended version this morning. I thank all who contributed. My apology for not being able to open the lines this morning. I know the phones was going a wee bit in terms of folks wanted to get their work questions they would have liked to ask. Apology for that. So until then, folks, have yourself a good one. That's why I say goodbye for today's edition of To The Point. Have a great day and a great weekend to come.